Everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
And welcome back to Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton. Today we're talking about insurance, and joining us in the studio from Intact Insurance, we have Patrick Magnuson and Keith Story, along with Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. And today we're talking about insurance, in particular condominium insurance, and some of the challenges that are very unique to condos, things that are different from owning a house and insuring it. And many of us didn't even realize that there were such large differences. So what are some of the challenges that are unique to condominium owners when it comes to insurance?
One of the interesting things with condos is that they are governed by they have regulations that govern how they operate. And those regulations are provincial, and so they vary in each province. So something fairly unique to BC's Strata Act is that you as a unit owner are responsible for any damage to other property that emanates from your unit, whether you are negligent or not. So what this means really is that if you have a pipe that bursts behind your wall and causes water damage to your neighbors below, then you are responsible. So the condo corporation's policy would cover the damage, but you as the unit owner from where the damage emanated are responsible for the deductible. And now, of course, when we think deductibles in our day-to-day life, we're thinking $500, $1,000. When we start talking about condo corporations, a water damage deductible could be $10,000 or $50,000 or $500,000. So when you start thinking about then you might be responsible for that, it brings in a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely, and that's just if the water leaks into your neighbor. What if it leaks down into the common rooms, like the front lobby or the party room that they have in a condominium, or into the underground parking, and damages a bigger, greater part of the building?
Ultimately, you're not responsible for the damage because your condo corporation policy will cover that, but you're going to be responsible for their policy's deductible. And that work can be.
That's why you always want to look at, find out what, especially if you're a first-time buyer into a condo, you want to make sure you check the minutes and find out, because some of these stratas have had significant amounts of claims. I know there's one building in Vancouver that had a central pipe burst, and they now have a $500,000 deductible. So if you move in, you're going to have no company is going to provide you with coverage for that deductible. So, when you're shopping for a condo, make sure that's one of the first questions you ask is what are the deductibles on the policy.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
So then, just to carry on this conversation, what is loss assessment coverage?
So loss assessment, as was said, the strata provides insurance on the building as itself and all the common property, the things that are jointly owned. And if a loss was to happen and the amount of coverage for the condominium policy was insufficient to pay for all the damages, then an assessment would be made to all the individual unit owners, and they would have to make up the difference. And loss assessment coverage is available with the condo policy, and it will basically prevent you from having to put that money out of your own pocket to pay for the excess damage.
So give an example. Let's say you're in a wood frame apartment building that's worth $3 million. It's insured for $3 million, but for whatever reason, it turns out it's now going to be $3.5 million to rebuild the building. So there's now a $500,000 shortfall. So they go to the 50 unit owners and say, okay, you each now have to pay $10,000 because our policy was inadequate. Or you get a slip and fall. This doesn't apply just to the building, but for liability as well. So if somebody is injured and they sue for, you only insure for $5 million, and for some reason there's an award for $6 million, everybody in this strata is going to have to cough up their share of that extra $1 million.
So if somebody slips and falls at the entrance to the building, you could be on the hook for that as an owner in that building
of the strata corporation.
You could be if there's a shortfall within the condo corporation's policy, for sure.
Wow.
Sure.
So not to go down the whole road of that leaky condo history that we have in the city, but I think it's when we were all first exposed to everyone in the building that had to pay for somebody else's mistakes. And I'm sure there's insurance companies here that are still experiencing some of the downfall from that era. Loss assessment coverage seems like something we should really seriously consider then.
Well, it's included as part of the policy.
Yeah.
So you just need to make sure you buy the policy. Unfortunately, in BC, less than 50% of the people that live in condominiums buy a policy. And and a lot of them think because they pay strata fees that their strata fees covers insurance.
That they're covered.
And this is
so you're telling us they're not.
No.
Absolutely.
Well, they are covered. They're covered for the building. If the building burns down or the earthquake knocks it down, they would be covered. But they're not covered personally for anything that they do in terms of acts, negligence acts or contributory damage that's emanating from their unit.
Interesting.
Or the contents or
contents.
items in their
Or the
unit,
contents,
or
yeah.
the improvements and betterments. So I mean, the condo corporation policy, in the event there's damage to the unit, it will put you back to the original state of the unit. So if the original state of the unit had carpet, you've since ripped up that carpet, installed a beautiful hardwood floor, well, that is now under your own insurance policy because that is an improvement and betterment. The condo corporation policy wouldn't replace your nice hardwood floor.
But my personal policy might.
Your personal policy would.
Would. They will. Oh, good, good, good. So let's talk a little bit about the personal liability. What does this refer to as a condo owner and having that insurance policy?
Well, personal liability, it sort of covers two major things. The first is your own personal actions anywhere in the world. So again, if you're skiing up a Whistler and you happen to run into somebody and you break their arm and they sue you, it would respond to that. It would cover any of the damages that would occur there, but also the legal fees. And of course, now you don't have to deal with the whole legal process. Your insurance company is representing you, and they are handling all that, nightmare of paperwork. The other portion, defense costs, exactly. Thanks, Keith.
Okay.
Now the other part is your premises liability. And your premises liability is the liability that you're responsible for within your unit. So if you're having a party and somebody slips and falls in your kitchen, or somebody stumbles and falls off your balcony, or any of those kinds of things, that is your premises liability, and so you'll be covered for that as well.
Most policies include a basic limit of $1 million. Most companies will allow you to upgrade to $2 million. Personally, I've been recommending $5 million for a number of years. I've looked at the bodily injury claims that come out of ICBC. They're paying 2 to 3 claims a week in the $2 to $3 million range. We'll be talking about umbrella liability next month, but it's something that people should be aware of. That you might carry 5 on your car, but if you're only carrying 2 on your house, there could be that you break my back with your car, you break my back by knocking me down a flight of stairs. I'm going to get awarded the same amount of money. So the $2 million may not be enough, and especially in condos or townhouses. Another thing to think about is if you start a fire in the building, and you're directly attributed to your negligence, the strata policy is going to pay for the building, but their policy is going to come back and try and sue you personally for that damage. Wow,
you're not painting a very pretty picture here. Making me nervous actually about being a condo owner. So
well, have insurance, then it's not less of an issue.
And then I'm covered. So we'll talk a little bit about the category of additional living expenses when you're making a claim. In the case of an incident, and say you can't live in the condo because of fire or water damage or whatever the incident was, the unforeseen circumstance. How does it work for additional living expenses?
Additional living expenses are just that. They are over and above what your normal cost of living is. So in the event of, say, a fire where it's going to take 10 months to repair the building and you can't live there, and you find a rental place, or be it an apartment, be it a house, and it's $1,000, $2,000 a month, that's over and above your mortgage. So you carry on and pay your mortgage or whatever your normal expenses are for your unit, and this policy would pay for the additional cost to house you elsewhere and maintain the same sort of lifestyle as what you had. If you are only out for a couple of days and you have to incur meal costs that would normally be we would pay the extra cost over and above what you would normally pay for meal costs.
Or like stay in a hotel.
Stay in a hotel, exactly.
Yeah.
So it is the additional cost over and above what you would normally pay in your normal household. Intact policy will respond to your strata fees for the period of time that you're not able to stay in your unit. And also if your unit has, or your building rather, has a gym facility, and you're no longer able to stay there and use that, they would pay for a temporary gym membership while you're no longer able to stay there.
Wow, so Intact actually provides the products that would help look after you and basically keep you on that same path of what your regular lifestyle would be.
Exactly.
Are there any other additional expenses that could be covered under this type of a policy, or is there anything else? Or
Well, I want to pick up on what Keith was saying about the strata fees and the gym membership. That's kind of a unique feature for Intact. They're one of the few companies that actually provides that. Most companies don't take that into consideration when they do their digital living expenses. It's more bread and butter sort of issues like rent and food costs that are normally the discussion when it comes to additional living expenses.
Well, if you rent out a portion of your place, that tenant can't be there. There's a fair rental value component with additional living expense. Also, if there's let's say there's prohibited access by a civil authority, so basically you are, there's a fire close by, and basically the city says you can't go into your home for 2 days. So although hasn't been damage to your home, you're not allowed to enter your home. So you are obviously going to incur some additional living expenses, so the policy will respond in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm. Access to your building, parking, little things like that. Would those kind of things be
For
covered?
sure.
Or, yes.
Yeah.
So just basically your everyday living expenses.
That's right.
So, Joanne, one thing I want to touch base on, we talked about, the low take-up rate. One point I want to bring out to people that have bought units to rent out. You want to buy coverage, because in the event that something happens, if you've got rental insurance on there, the insurance company's they're gonna bust their butt to make sure that place gets back up and running, because if it's costing them $3,000 a month to pay for your rent, the claim's going to get handled and get taken care of, as opposed to if you've got limited coverage, if there's no rent on there, or you have no insurance at all, then there's no reason for the strata corporation. They really don't care whether your unit gets done in 3 months or 13 months. So another reason to make sure you've got coverage. It's not that expensive.
So just say I've just recently bought a condo and I'm planning on getting a tenant and I'm going to be renting it out. Are there any specific questions I should be asking the broker, or that the broker should be asking me, or any little red flags I should be aware of when buying some type of personal liability or premise liability product for my new condo?
Well, what contents do you have in there? So is there a stove, fridge, washer, dryer? What are you providing in there? What is the amount of rent that you're charging? Are you going to be actively involved in it, or is it the property manager that's looking after it? So are you buying, are you in Alberta and you're buying it here, or you're buying a place in Alberta, that sort of thing? So
and
it
also
makes a difference.
Are you going to be doing short-term rentals, or are you going to get a long-term tenant who's signing a 1-year lease?
Very good point, because there's a
very
lot of
important distinction.
short-term rentals now with companies like Airbnb and business rentals, and
And those aren't covered.
they're not covered. Oh gosh, we could probably do a whole show on that.
You probably could.
Well, you can get coverage, but it's specialized and it's expensive and very restrictive. But your standard rental condo policy doesn't cover that sort of thing.
Wow. Well, we're learning that the rates are not the same, and that the products are not the same for condo owners or as opposed to owning a home. And we're going to carry on this conversation. You're listening to Experts on Call on CL 650. I'm Joanne Sutton, and joined in studio today are the insurance experts from Intact Insurance. We have Keith Story and Patrick Magnuson, along with Andrew Tablotny of Laguerre Pelling Insurance. For more information on the products and services available, please go to the website intact.ca. And we're going to be right back to talk more about insurance for your condominium, how it works, what a claim looks like, and a little bit more. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
There's still more ahead with Experts on Call on CL 650.